So that is the Dean Exile Select, and I have got the Dean Exile X, which is almost half the price.
We'll be taking a look at both of these models and comparing their features. The X series is Dean's more affordable range of guitars that offers classic Dean aesthetics and playability at a more accessible price point. Whereas the more expensive Select series packs more features and offers more versatility that experienced players may prefer.
We're going to dive into the features of both of these guitars, why this is the more affordable one and why this is more expensive, and most importantly, how they both sound. If you want to see the full range, because as you can see, they come in a variety of colors, head to AuroraMusicWorks.com. Let's get into the features of these guitars.
This is the Exile Select in black satin. It's got an alder body and top with a forearm contour, belly cut, and access heel for easier playability on the higher frets.
And that's compared to the Exile X, which is in satin white. It does also have black satin here. You have small features like you have black binding on the white here and then cream binding on the black. The body is made from Eastern mahogany. It does have the forearm contour and it does have the belly cut, but it does not have the access heel up here. That being said, it is still really easy to access the upper frets. Interestingly, with this being Eastern mahogany, you'd expect it to be a little bit heavier than the older, but it's not, and they're weighted really quite nicely and very similarly as well.
Moving on to the neck, the Select comes with a bolt-on 3-piece maple neck with a D-shaped neck profile. You've got 24 jumbo frets on an ebony fingerboard, a 25.5-inch scale length, and a 16-inch radius. The combination of the ebony fingerboard and the relatively flat radius makes this ideal for shredders and lead playing. Cool aesthetic feature on the Select is the offset small pearl dot inlays, whereas the X just has the traditional centered dot inlays.
It does, and there's a few similarities with these two. So again, the X has the bolt-on neck, it's got 24 frets, it's got a 25.5-inch scale length and a 16-inch radius. The only difference is here, it's got a C-shaped profile and an Indian rosewood fretboard.
Yeah, so the neck profiles being slightly different is an interesting distinction between the two. A D shape has a slightly flatter back and will have more pronounced edges, whereas the C shape is a more traditional, well-rounded, balanced shape.
Yeah, and if you can get your hands on one of these, you'll actually feel it in person. So when you hold it and you put your thumb and finger around the fretboard, this one just has that natural slimmer feel to it. You can feel the C profile just on the back. So I highly recommend running your thumb just over the back and you can feel it sort of flattens off a little bit. Whereas this one definitely fills out that shape a little bit more.
Yeah, and some players prefer a D shape over a C shape because they find that it's easier to play fast lead lines. It'll feel just like a faster, smoother neck for some people, whereas the more traditional C shape is comfortable for a lot of different genres and styles.
Yeah, so with that, let's move on to the hardware. The sustain on that is actually really nice, and we'll get into that in a second, but firstly the hardware. So I'm going to start on the X, which has only got a volume, a tone, a 3-way toggle. You've also got the Floyd FR20, and it's a really simple setup for this one, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, you're right. So it's a similar setup here, so just one volume, one tone, and a 3-way toggle switch. This one does have a push-pull, which does something to the pickups, which we'll get onto in a sec. Lastly, the Select comes with Mini Grover tuners and the Floyd Rose 1000 tremolo system, which offers excellent tuning stability and performance, which is one of the reasons why this comes at a slightly higher price point.
And that's something with these guitars where you'll see in a few features, like with what they're made of, and that's why this one's almost half the price. This bridge is amazing and you still get the same playability and control with it. You just might find that this one has slightly more advanced features. So moving on to the pickups and electronics, the Exile X has DMT designed zebras in both the neck and the bridge. These are passive high output pickups, so you don't need to put a 9-volt battery in this guitar. If you like the traditional sound of passive humbuckers, then this is the guitar for you, whereas if you want the active pickups of the Fishman Fluences, then that's on the Select.
As you mentioned there, this Select is loaded with a set of Fishman Fluence modern pickups. These are active pickups which have 2 separate voices which you can toggle between using this push-pull here.
Yes, and you don't have that on the X, so this is, like we mentioned earlier, just the volume and tone. What's interesting is when we were getting tones before we started filming this video, is that you can tell the difference between the passive and the active. So if you do want a little bit more clarity and that power, then I'd lean towards the Select, especially if you're doing very quick, high gain lead lines, essentially.
Yeah, and whereas if you're looking for that more variety in your tone and you want those different voicings, which I'll get into what they do, you might want to go for the select.
So let's hear how these ones sound, and then we'll swap over and you can hear these ones as well.
So the first setting is your typical active sound, so you're going to get very controlled low end, nice and tight, whereas the highs will be crisp and very aggressive and cut through the mix really well.
Let's hear it. That's got really nice sustain, actually. So you started that on the bridge pickup for the chords,
Yeah.
and then your leads, you switched to the neck.
Yeah, exactly right. So when I was playing the rhythm, when you want that more percussive sound, I was on the bridge pickup. When you want a slightly smoother lead tone, you can go to the neck pickup.
So what does the push-pull sound like on this as well? Because we have the feature on the select, but not on the X.
So the second voice that you get with the push-pull offers a more traditional passive humbucker sound, so it will be slightly smoother and maybe more versatile across different genres. So it's actually quite a good option if you want that active sound, but with this push-pull option, you can also access the more traditional passive humbucker sound.
Before we move on to hearing what the X sounds like, let's just put this through a clean tone, just so you can hear the versatility of these pickups. Cool, take this. It's amazing how much clarity you still get through passive pickups, because they are high gain pickups, and it's putting these two side by side. You do get a little bit of difference in character, but it's kind of personal preference, where I actually like the sound of the passive pickups. Obviously, I love active pickups, but there's something about those, the character is really nice.
Yeah, they are great pickups. And again, speaking of personal preference, I think I probably prefer the pickups on that. But the C-shape profile on this makes it, for me, a lot more familiar to other guitars I play, and I find this very comfortable. So again, it's just because this one's more affordable does not make it worse in any way.
Yeah, you absolutely get the Dean shape and the Dean feel and sound from both of these guitars, and it's pretty amazing how they've done that. So that was on the bridge pickup. Let's hear how the neck sounds and do some clean tones as well. So as with all the guitars we get on the channel, I highly recommend seeing if you can get one of these in person, mostly to feel how the neck feels if you have a preference there, and also just to experience the difference between the pickups, because they're great in both of their own ways. If you'd like to see the full range, head to Aurora Music Works, because these are incredibly popular guitars, so they don't stick around for long. So head to auroramusicworks.com, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.